Welcome everyone to a webinar from the IT team. This is ChatGPT and latest advances in AI from Microsoft. Starting the introductions, some of the attendees will have met me before or had interactions before, and some of you may have not. So I'm Colin Daly of the IT team. I'm the General Manager, and I'm joined by David. Come on down.
Hi everyone, my name's David. I'm also of the IT team and the Customer Success Management team.
So today we've got some interesting content that we hope will cater to everyone. We're going to do a couple of polls soon to get an idea of what the audience has as far as knowledge of AI and the technologies that we're going to be showing today. But it's going to be for everyone. So we're going to start with the basics of the likes of ChatGPT and how it can work, and then we're going to get a bit more detailed into how you might be able to use it to benefit you in a productive way. And then we're going to show Copilot, which some of you may have seen, but I expect many of you have not seen. So that'll be coming shortly. So it's not out yet, but it is coming soon. Okay, so we'll crack in. So what are we going to be talking about today? So what are the AI tools available? We'll talk a little bit about what's out there and the differences between them. Why are they important? Why could they be important to you and your organization? We're going to do a lot of demonstrations. In fact, about 50% of this webinar, this presentation, is going to be showing examples of using ChatGPT in a personal or also professional way. We're going to show Microsoft Copilot, and when I say show, it's not out yet, we can't use it, but we'll show examples and videos and some content on Microsoft Copilot because it is quite a groundbreaking technology, and give some information on how to prepare for it, and a little bit about how it might impact us and what you can do to be ready and prepare for some of the risks. We've got a few things on security as well and that type of thing in this session today. So a little bit about the IT team. So formed in 2011, we've been using Microsoft 365 or its predecessor since we launched in 2011, because that's when it was released. Microsoft Managed Services and IT support is our core function. We do have a wide range of IT services, everything pretty much that could be considered IT we generally offer. We're very cloud-centric. We have evolved to become very security-centric, and advisory and guidance is a key part of our engagement with our customers, including things like this that we're doing now. So I'm going to hand over to Dave to introduce large language models, which is what ChatGPT and Copilot and etc. are based upon.
Cool, thank you, Colin. So yeah, large language models, they're deep learning algorithms, and they can do natural language processing tasks. So essentially what you're going to get out of them is not computer speak, it's going to be natural language like you would try and write yourself. So they derive all their data off the internet, just using huge data sets of stuff that's been fed into them. So that's the basis of ChatGPT, Bing Chat, 365 Copilot. So essentially they're predicting the next word based on what they've seen before. Like I said, they output high quality natural language responses. So you can use them for translations, chatbots, AI assistants. It's constantly evolving. So they've really got the potential to transform industries by enabling automation of tasks, improving your efficiency, boosting customer service, helping you manage risk more effectively, and sort of an augmentation for the human workforces. And again, rapidly evolving, so constant innovation in this field.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Continuing.
Yeah, and so again, just what does the AI landscape look like at the moment? So we've got chatbots like ChatGPT and Bing Chat. Meta's got some, Google's got some, everyone's coming out with their own. It can do image generation like DALL-E or Midjourney, integrated AI like we're seeing with Copilot, or now coming into Photoshop and the likes of that. Audio generation, so taking text to speech, which sounds way better than it did just in the last couple of years, and now it's getting out into video editing software as well. So huge amounts of new AI tools out on the market.
And on the image generation, every image that you will see in this webinar, except for the blender, every image has been generated using a AI model. We thought it was an interesting exercise. A lot of the time we just put in the title of the slide, and Midjourney or DALL-E would generate an image that it thinks. And so some of them are a bit strange, some of them are a little bit creepy, but we thought it's quite an interesting way to show what these tools can do. So we're going to kick into a basic demonstration of ChatGPT and a little bit of Bing as well. So I'm just going to move my screen over here, so hopefully you can see. So for those that haven't, and I know that some people in here, based on the feedback, have used this quite extensively, but please be patient because we need to start from the ground for those that haven't seen it before. So this is ChatGPT. It is free, particularly to use the 3.5 function. For GPT-4 requires a paid edition, which gives additional functions. I won't go into those in a lot of detail, but it tends to be slightly more intelligent, although sometimes a bit slower. So generally on your left, you have the existing historic content that or conversations that you've had with ChatGPT. And then on the bottom, there's some examples here, and then you type your message in. So starting really simple, in the most simple sense, we thought we'd start with asking ChatGPT to explain something. So for example, let's go with explain La Nina. This is David's idea, and and he's right, I didn't know what La Nina is. So you ask ChatGPT to explain La Nina, you likely get a faster response and probably a little bit more succinct and accurate than going to a website or Googling it. So this gives a bit of information. I'm not going to get you to read it. I'm not going to read it out loud, but it appears legit. And most importantly, it reads well. And if I regenerated it, it's going to do it differently. It's probably going to have the same key information, but it is a complete rewrite. So it basically has a fresh take. So now I'm going to ask it to be more succinct. So let's say, and I tend to try and interact with ChatGPT a little bit like interacting with a person, although I've got to be careful because I might sound a bit rude, but you're thinking like you're communicating with humans. So I could say, let's make it simpler, 3 to 4 bullet points. Right, so it's going to now have another go and make it a lot simpler, which is how I like to read content, as bullet points. So good for me. So there we go. We get 3 or 4 bullet points, nice and simple. But then you can be a little bit vague with ChatGPT, and it will sort of generally understand you. So you could say, actually, 5 bullets. Say 5 bullets. So you don't need to explain it elaborately and say bullet points or anything. If I just said try 6. It'll probably work. In fact, I'll try that. Let's say try 3. Let's say try 3. Let's see if that works. 3 points. So it does understand you in a way that can be quite impressive. And it's quite different from if you tried to do it with Siri. I'm not sure what you'd get. So that just gives you a bit of an example on something simple and going back and forth to get the answer or the type of information that you want. Now we're going to abandon that chat, go to another one, and then we'll try something that you might use personally. Let's say you have to do a quick dinner. You got some guests coming over. I'm going to write a recipe for fast and easy butter chicken. That I like. Even with spelling mistakes, it should sort it out. So then you get some ingredients. It's going to give it to you in a way that looks pretty legit. There's nothing in there that looks a bit strange. I should have most of that in my house. Shopping day was yesterday. And then you got the instructions and the rest of it. Now, hold on, ChatGPT. They're actually gluten-free. So we've got to say, change this to gluten-free and for 3 people. I forgot to say how many people are coming. So then it's going to modify it, go gluten-free, and adjust it so that it's for 3 people. And it's using I was about to say metric. I'm not sure what 1 inch is about though, but generally it's using the metric system, which is handy. So yeah, and then you get some good instructions. If I were to say, change the language to French, it is going to rewrite it in French. Now, I don't speak or read French, but my understanding of how this works is it's not just like Google Translate. It's not sort of translating each word individually. It's actually rewriting it in what ought to be naturally French, or at least pretty good. If there's any people that speak or understand French, they are welcome to put some comments and tell me if I'm wrong. But generally, it looks pretty good to me. So this is a good example of how you could, change it. We could write in Māori. There's lots of different options there, and it does a pretty good job of that as well. Now, let's make it a bit fun. So we'll go back to English and turn it into a song. So, gluten-free butter chicken recipe, turning it into a little jazzy tune for 3. Gather around, gather around. I'm not going to sing it, but it does look pretty good. Now, I would say, if you have a look at that, if me or David, especially David or I, were to try and turn this into a song, it'd take us a very long time. So it does do a pretty good job of doing creative things, or if you call this creative, quickly. So yeah, so that is an example. Now I'm going to make another change just to continue it. So let's go start again. No, I'll just do a new chat. So as you can see, it writes in butter chicken usually after I write the next one. So I have 1 kg of mince, onions, tomatoes, rice, and common herb kitchen staples. What can I make? So giving it something that's a little bit harder than just what they might get on the first couple of articles of Google. So there you go. It gives you a spaghetti bolognese, limited to, although I don't know where the spaghetti came from, but bell peppers apparently. So yeah, it'll give you some options there. When we tried it earlier, it gave a really interesting dish that was very bang on the ingredients. So yeah, mince and rice stir fry, something like that. So just an example of what you can do with food, I guess. Now we'll go to something else. So let's say you're at home, you're trying to write a story for your daughter. I'm looking at me. So let's say, and I've used this a few times, for 2 children, 5. Let's do better. Girl 5 and boy 7. Playing with Bluey and Paw Patrol. Let's see how this goes. So you can use it to write stories and that kind of thing, which and you integrate your kids' names and stuff like that. So and it will write it, and you regenerate it, and it will do another one, and it will do it completely different, and try again and try again. And so these are some good ways to entertain, and it makes it certainly brings your parenting sort of quality up, because I'm not sure how long it would take to put something like this together. Certainly for me, a very long time. So yeah, you can do this. You can say make it longer, 2,000 words or whatever, and it will do it. I'll just make it longer. You can see you can be very simple. So anyway, that gives you an idea about this. Another idea related to that. Let's say your kids have a sick day, and you're trying to entertain them. So let's go. My 5-year-old is taking a sick day. I need a series of activities to keep her occupied for the day that won't require much adult help because I'm working. Hopefully they are related to each other. Let's see what we've got. Oh, thank you, ChatGPT. I know it can be challenging to keep a child occupied while juggling work tasks. I appreciate that. So morning craft secret, that seems child safe scissors, very good. So you can see the idea. It'll give ideas. So if you had to think of something quick, and your brain isn't kicking into gear because it's the morning, you could use something like that. I'm not sure about this. Oh, it said visit the aquarium, and I thought that's certainly something that requires adult supervision, but it has make an aquarium. So just another idea, something for you to try at home. Now we'll continue on. Something maybe a little bit more practical that correlates to the professional. So here is I can't see my cursor, so that's quite handy. So I'm going to grab an email from a builder that has told me they're about to charge me more. So I'm going to paste it in. It's from Joe the builder, and he's basically saying that due to weather conditions and safety, they're going to need to charge us an additional $7,419. So I'm not a fan of that because I don't have $7,419 spare. So I'd like some help responding to this email. So I paste it in there. I'm going to say, please reply to this email in a professional way, rejecting the additional costs. Let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. Now, we put the quoties around it. I don't think you actually need to do that, but it just helps when you're putting data in, we find, to make sure it doesn't mix it up. So now ChatGPT is writing an email basically saying, we appreciate safety and etc. Safety is a top priority, but we do not agree to the money. So if you were going to sit there in front of your computer and think, how am I going to write this? You might not send this email as it is, but it may start it for you. Now let's go back, because often there's a bit of back and forth with when you're wanting to get ChatGPT right. So you might say, please I keep saying please, but make it more casual. No, what would I say? Casual, less formal, and shorter. So yeah, it looks a bit more casual. It's pretty short, but you know, as you can see, it's actually not bad. Thanks for your stuff about the delay. I get that safety comes first, but the extra 7,000 is a bit of a surprise. Our contract didn't say anything. Can we chat about how we move forward without the extra charges? That's pretty good, actually. Like, I'd probably write that. So yeah, this is an example of how you could use ChatGPT personally and professionally. Now I'll do one more. So let's say you wanted to advertise, David was advertising his beautiful Honda Civic 2001. I'm just going to paste this in. So write an advert for the following used car. I'll put for Trade Me. So it's a Honda Civic red 2001, 2 doors, automatic transmission, 100,000 K. Let's see what it says. So what it is going to do is it kind of knows the elements that Trade Me asks, which are all those bullet points above, and it gives some additional information. Looks pretty good, to be fair. I'm not sure where the gem comes in with the Honda Civic, but it fills in, it takes a lot of common ads, and it does actually a pretty good job. Like, you might paste this in Marketplace or wherever, but it does look pretty good. So, and you could say, find some features. It actually put a price in. That's hilarious. David, what do you think? 5,500? 2001 Honda Civic? You'd be lucky.
Pretty happy with
that. I was going to find the features, but we'll just move on. So anyway, this section was us wanting to show you individually, not so much as a professional, how ChatGPT works, how you interact with it, and you know, what you could use personally, but also thinking in mind for some of these features you might use professionally. So jump out of this, go back to the presentation. David, is this you? This might be your slide, is it?
I can speak to this. Yeah, so ChatGPT is obviously the free model that sort of kicked off this whole revolution. Microsoft's come out with what they're calling Big Chat Enterprise, which is based on the same model because they've got a stake in OpenAI who came up with it. They've integrated it into the Edge browser, and by default, Bing Chat Enterprise is protected. So the data you put into it's not going out and being used to train up the AI model. Again, ChatGPT was the first one. the free version doesn't have access to the latest data. They sort of cut it off at around 2021, I believe, somewhere around there.
Late 2021.
Yeah. So, but if you're using the paid ChatGPT, then it can do the web browsing, get all the latest information. They've really got both areas they both excel at. ChatGPT seems to be a bit faster at the moment. Bing Chat's got your protection, so it's up to, for the, for business, we probably recommend using Bing Chat because, you don't want your data leaking out into the internet. Personal usage, ChatGPT.
Yeah, what we'd say is that ChatGPT is basically superior in how well it works, but Bing Chat will get better. And the important thing is because Bing is related to Copilot, which we're going to show soon. So ChatGPT, we just found it to be more effective, gave us longer answers, more thorough. And so I guess for demonstrations, it's definitely the preferred function. But from a business point of view, Bing is obviously very useful. Excuse me. Okay, so now we're going to the next slide. Now, some real world applications for using ChatGPT or Bing AI. So starting something off. So anything, you've got an idea or the kernel of an idea, and you want to get some information to start it. It could be an email, it could be a proposal, it could be a plan, it could be anything, statement of works, that type of thing. Just starting it. Explanations like we showed La Nina. That is a good example as you want to get a quicker example than going and searching and trawling a bunch of websites. And also getting it applicable to you. So you could say, what is La Nina? And then how does it apply to Christchurch? Or how does it apply to Australia? Ideas. So as I showed you, ideas for how to entertain your children, ideas for what to put in the garden in January, those types of things. Writing. Now, this is obviously a big one. Assisting you with your writing. Now, that could be proofreading, it could be editing, it could be expanding, it could be shrinking, it could be determining the right order of things. Sometimes we end up putting in a whole bunch of bullet points and get it to write something extensive. So it's very good at writing. Job ads and interview prep. We'll show some examples soon. Project briefs and statements of work. This is very powerful. And we might show some examples of that as well. Email responses, as I showed. Policies. Understanding how to try to get policies and make them more interesting. Summarizing things. This can be getting a whole bunch of data if you see something and asking for it to be summarized in a simple way. Formatting and data analysis. I'll show a quick example of that. Making boring content interesting. We used it to make some of our policies a little bit more just readable and digestible. And making tests and quizzes. And that's some fun things that we've done with it that can be quite cool. So now we're going to show some more professional use cases, many of the above that I've just talked through, and how examples of how we have used ChatGPT to assist with, I guess, performing our roles. Whoops, slide. Okay, so we'll move away from the Honda Civic. We're staying on ChatGPT 4. So let's say David, he's decided to leave. Shock horror. So David's going to leave the IT team. It's never going to happen, but let's say he did. Let's say he said he was going to. So, and we wanted to write a farewell poem to David for his great service. So it was the final day, and instead of saying, "Hey, David, thanks for everything you did. You've been with us how long, etc. Hey, you've been great and farewell." We wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's say write a farewell poem for our staff member, David. I won't spell it. Oh, I won't spell it right. How long have you been with us, David? I know that, but I'm just asking for the context.
Let's go for 4 years.
4 years. Oh, it's growing, is it?
Yeah.
4 years
see how it goes.
with us. You got 2 children. I'm not putting this in the order, and that's a good example. Your role is CSM. What kind of car do you drive? Of course, it's the 2001 Honda Civic.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Towards Bishopdale.
Bishopdale. Where are you going again?
Nowhere yet.
Hoyts, let's say Hoyts, where you came from previously. And you like Star Wars, IT stuff, which is handy. What else do you like, David? Pop culture, I think you said.
Pop culture stuff.
Gardening?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Something different on the weekends.
So let's say ask ChatGPT to write a poem for David. So let's see what we come up with. In the heart of Bishopdale, where the wrong roads unwind, 4 years you've been with us, a rare find. Driving that 01 Honda Civic, old yet grand. Your presence in our team was like footprints in sand. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but as you can see, it's pretty good. And certainly, if I was to write it, it would take me a very long time. But I've just whipped up a poem that if David knew that it was written in ChatGPT, which I might need to tell it to tone it down because it would be obvious, he might be less impressed. But if it came out of nowhere, he might be very, very impressed. He might even stay. But anyway, that's an example of using the poem. Now, it could say, try Dr. Seuss style, I should say, in the style of Dr. Seuss, but anyway. I don't even know if I spelled Dr. Seuss right, but so making it a little bit more Dr. Seuss-y. Just another example of something you could do. So I know that might be quite personal and people might do one for their partners and everything, but this is something that we have done to help us with our farewells. So another one, expanding on some, I'll go to a new chat. So let's say we wanted to write a proposal for customers. Now, just to be clear, this is not how we do this generally because we've got these things sort of prepackaged and everything. But if I was to say, write a proposal for us, the IT team, to assist a client, Acne, with an office move, IT elements. Let's see what it comes up with. So this is when I say starting. This is good use of starting. Like, you're unlikely to copy and paste this and send it away. At least I hope. But it, presents ideas in a way. It's showing what potentially what you should do. Risk assessment. Good, cool. Remove planning, everything like that. The equipment, data transportation, network configuration setup. So it's using a degree of intelligence that I think a quick Google or something wouldn't give you. It's not if you said, hey Siri, what do I need to take into account when I'm doing an office move? It's not going to give you something as limited as that. It gives you something quite extensive. So you can see this is pretty good. If I ask it to turn it into a scope of works, you'll probably say across a 2-week timeline, 100 hours, 3 resources, something like that. And it's going to make a modification to it. It's taking the existing information from the conversation. It knows that it's an office move, and it's going to put this together, a scope of works. So this is just quite a decent example of using ChatGPT to help start something that you might need to do in business. And if you start to see your scope of works from your vendors come, you might want to make sure you read it, because I think we do have a potential issue in society is people could use ChatGPT and then not read things very well. But it is important to, I should have said this earlier, it's important to read and understand the content and make sure you're very you're clear that it is what you want to say. So yeah, so it's a pretty good job, I would say. And very fast. I mean, this took all of a minute to maybe 2 minutes to put together. And I can tell you what, it would have taken me a lot longer in the past. So I might do something a bit different. So let's say we want to summarize an article. So I'm just going to go on stuff in the business page. So let's say we go BNZ latest bank to increase rates, and I'm just gonna grab all this. It's going to get a lot of junk, or at least some of it, ads, that type of thing. I'm just going to grab it, paste it in here. I'll say summarize this article, please. Got to be polite. So it does have a bit of advertisement writing and things like that you'd hope ChatGPT is able to disregard and ignore and understand it. Now, technically, ChatGPT, I could have just put the link in with ChatGPT 4 and it would read it, but I prefer to do it this way. So summarizes it, 4 bullets. Let's see if that works. Oh, pretty simple. So yeah, you don't even need to, hopefully you don't communicate with your colleagues or staff like that, but giving a very simple request, and it will generally understand what you're getting at. So this is an example of getting a decent amount of data, or quite a bit. I mean, it's not a massive amount, but you could get quite a bit more, and summarizing it very fast. So now I'm going to go a little bit more out there. So let's say the IT team are recruiting and we want to do a job ad. Now we have all these put together, but let's say we didn't. Right, so write a job advert. You can see I've got a spell mistake in there for an IT. I'm not sure if that's the right way to write it. IT managed services provider, field technician for the IT team. We'll start there, see what we get. So it said Auckland, that's good, but I didn't tell it where. So now the IT team, if we would name something a bit more clear, probably would have gone out and looked and saw where we were. So here you go, you got location, you got type, it's come up with, it's decided that a field technician is 2+ years experience, hasn't put the salary in there, but it's come up with some information. It hasn't given a lot of information because it doesn't know who we are, but it's a good base, and it's actually used some intelligence to form what tasks are going to be done and the requirements. If I was to say needs more experience based in Chicha and license required, I'll say mobile job. Not sure if that makes sense, but anyway, let's see if it understands what I'm asking. So it says full-time mobile. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway. Travel to customer sites. I thought it should probably say something about, usually it would say that you need a driver's license, but that's okay. So give us an idea. This is a pretty good job ad, or at least it's a good base of a job ad, and it is using some intelligence to choose technologies. Now we probably wouldn't get a field technician to need to understand Hyper-V and VMware, but fundamentally it's a really good start, and you could work it. You could say, hey, take out the VMware, needs experience with HP, needs experience with this, and very quickly you could get what you want. So now let's take this. I'm going to take it, I'm going to copy it. I'll copy the whole thing. You can click copy up here. And I'm going to ask it to, now we're fast forward. We've put this out there. We've got some applicants. They've applied for the role. And we've zeroed in on someone. I'll tell ChatGPT about that. So we are at the, I'll go back here actually. I can stay here. We are at the interview phase. Use the above, I'll just say use the previous job ad and this CV that I'm about to paste in, and put together questions for a job interview. I'll just say the below. Okay, so now it's taking the job ad and comparing it with a CV. Now this is a fictional CV. We just want to be clear. And it's basically taking a whole lot of data. So sometimes ChatGPT, one of the best uses of ChatGPT is putting a bunch of content in and comparing it. So this is the interview. So it's gone quite detailed. Welcome, John. It's actually scripting it very well, very detailed. Can you start by describing your background in IT? You have multiple roles, including desktop engineer and roaming support engineer. Can elaborate on what distinguishes the challenges of these different roles. So it's doing a pretty good job of actually analyzing the CV and coming up with questions that are appropriate. You can see here that's quite specific. 130 people at AECOM Limited. So if we then went back and said, so look at that, that's pretty good. I think you wouldn't want to walk in without reading those, but it does look like a very good start. So why don't we say now, what concerns should we have with this applicant compared to our job ad. You could put a job description in if you have that type of thing. So as you can see, it said experience level. The job ad calls for a minimum of 5. John has a sense of experience. It's not clear that he is 5+, so you need to seek that. So yeah, it's highlighting the few things that you might need to zero in on. So that's pretty good. It might take me quite a while to actually review those. Continuing on, we've conducted an interview. We like John. He's sharp. He's, he looks like he'd be a great fit. Now we want to conduct a technical test. Please outline a technical hands-on test suitable for this role plus John. Let's see what we get. Okay, so it's going to hopefully give there we go. So it's giving an actual test and telling us what equipment we should set up and how we should test it. Replace a hard drive on one of them and install a fresh copy of Windows. That's a good call. Network set up a small LAN. See, this is really good. So as you can see, it's with a limited amount of information, it's putting together a test based on his CV, based on the job ad, and yeah, I think that's a really good way. In what's this, 6 minutes? We've gone through the process of possibly saved a huge amount of time that we would take if this was the first time we were doing this. And to be fair, the IT team have done some of this with trying to make improvements to our existing interview questions and improvements to our testing. So yeah, this is another just a good example of using it through the course of multiple different elements of a task or process to accelerate what might otherwise take a lot of time. So I think I can hand over to you, David, to do a couple of quick Bing examples. You're muted.
So let me,
oh, there you go. Yeah,
thanks. I will just share my screen. All right, screen share. So just show everyone how do we get to Bing Chat, because it's slightly different, because I've got my ChatGPT window up here. Now I've turned saving the history off to show that you can do that for privacy. If you're using Microsoft Edge as your browser, it should have this little B icon up in the top right-hand corner, which we click, and it pops out a window which we can resize if we wish. Works very similar. So example, and we're working in 2 modes. You either chat, which is very similar to ChatGPT, or compose, which lets us do a little bit more structured. And there's a whole bunch of conversational styles that we can use. So first example we're going to do is explain what Microsoft Bookings is, which is a new Microsoft product. Does take a little bit longer, as we mentioned, because it's doing a bit of live searching. So it starts replying. And it's starting to also put in links to where it's finding the data. So you can sort of go out and check that what it's telling you is legitimate. Cool. So we're going to, on the similar topic, we're going to use the compose function, and we're just going to tell it to write a blog article about Microsoft. And we're going to say, you're going to do a long blog, and just going to use the paragraph format because that seems to give us the best output for this one. Again, takes a bit of time to get going as it goes out and searches and thinks. As you can see, yeah, it works pretty well. I won't let it run because I see we're starting to run a little short to get through all our content. So we are just going to
you get the gist.
Yep. Yeah. Now we're going to refresh that and get it to start write a funding application. So I'm sure everyone's had to do one of these before. And there we go. Just going to do a short one. Cool. It's going to tell us why, give us some benefits.
150,000.
That is an expensive.
Good networking equipment.
Yeah. Cool.
Network manager. There we go.
Yeah. Cool. So we're going to jump back to the chat function and get it to do a sort of a day-to-day task, proofread. Following with my changes. So I'm just going to post in a paragraph for stuff I found on the internet about a random topic. And it's going to go through and proofread it where there's some obvious spelling mistakes. It's again taking its time. So it keeps the flow of it exactly the same. It's just going to make some very small tweaks, and hopefully at the end of this,
It's giving you some links.
No, so it hasn't done what I've asked, which is weird of Bing Chat. So I'm just going to paste that into ChatGPT because it does a much better job.
So what didn't happen is it didn't do the highlighting as you'd requested. Although neither did ChatGPT, which is interesting. Try typing in please highlight the changes. Got to say please. You forgot to say please, David.
Of course. Cool. So there we go. Highlights the changes.
It's all about manners.
Yeah, exactly. It's got some weird examples. Now, one thing that Bing Chat can do at the moment that only the paid version of ChatGPT can do, I'll refresh that, is it can actually generate images directly through using what's called DALL-E. We're just going to use our tried and true example here, Colin.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Futuristic log cabin. That's where David wants to live, apparently.
Absolutely. But at Christmas time. So this does take a little bit of time to think about.
It's quite a newish feature as well, and so occasionally it'll kind of say no. But as we showed, anyway, we generated most of our images, or pretty much every image in the presentation using AI-based ones, and there's some just absolutely impressive things that you can come up with. It was extraordinary.
Cool. So they're actually pretty impressive what the images it comes up with.
Yeah, considering it is original. Well, original is what it is. It's derivative of potential other artists, but technically original. And so you can keep going and get some really cool, sort of interesting images. And you can get ones that might be sort of semi-realistic, but you can get hyper-realistic as well. I think sometimes saying hyper-realistic. Excellent, David. Is that what you want to show?
Yep, that's all for that little section.
I'll just quickly take over and do one more business-oriented demonstration. So the one thing we have done a bit of is putting in content, Excel-style content and data. Now, I don't have the best example because it takes a bit of time to work through. But an example would be we sometimes output customers, and this data is not real. We sometimes output customers data from 365 and try and interpret it. So let's say I want to put this data in a table because it came out a bit funny. And separate first and last name. So it's just, I've had ones where I've said extract the name from the email where it's had sort of first name dot last name, and it can do that. So here it's putting it in a table that I could copy and paste into a different area. If I wanted to then say, once it's finished, stop it and say, remove the full name and separate each license into a separate column. see what we get. So I'm trying to get a better way of determining which license which licenses they each have. So yeah, that's not a bad way. It's not exactly what I wanted. I might say put each license type in the heading. And have yes or no as in the cell. Sometimes you got to just work at it till you get what you want. That is not the best way to describe that, but it's done what I wanted. So it's determined, does it have the license? Yes. Does it not? No. So you could use sort of quite a lot of data and try and get it to be presented in the way that you want. Quite easily, you know, as I said, there are ways to do this. I'm sure people with that are good with Excel could do this. What's key is that this took me a minute to get something that might take me a little bit of time. So yeah, that was just a simple example of what is possible using ChatGPT or these models with you know, large quantities of data, even though it's not the biggest quantity of data. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. And we're running a teensy bit behind, but we're going to go into Copilot. So this is one of the more exciting pieces of technology we believe has been released, or is going to be released since the smartphone or before. It looks to be a big game changer. So what does Copilot do? Well, quickly, there are a few different types of Copilot, and we'll come to that later, but Microsoft 365 Copilot is what we're talking about. Helps you with creativity, helps with productivity, improves skills. It is an assistant to your day-to-day work. It is a business tool. It is not a personal tool, and it has a cost, which we'll come to later. And it can, from what we understand and what we can see, it likely will allow you to do a lot more, a lot faster. So we're going to show a couple of clips. David, do you want to share and present?
Copilot in Microsoft 365 can help you unleash creativity at work. Imagine you need to create a rock-solid proposal to win the business, and you don't have time for writer's block. You can use Copilot to draft a proposal based on your customer notes in OneNote, as well as another internal document. Copilot scans the target files and gets to work, quickly generating a first draft with all the key details from the files you provided. Now, let's say you want this to look like your previous proposals. Copilot can give you a draft in the format you typically use. It inserts product images and pulls in relevant visuals from other files. You can include a short summary at the top of the document. And Copilot can make suggestions to strengthen the proposal, like adding an FAQ, which it will generate for you to refine.
Thanks, David. So pretty powerful, as you can see. You know, it's those videos are a wee they've been around for sort of 9 or so months, and we've sort of looked at them in quite a lot of detail and a lot of the other ones, but it's obviously very powerful and quite a game changer. So quick, I'll go through a couple. So Word, we looked through it. The ability to take data from OneNote and previous documents seems just, a huge time saver. Outlook, reviewing emails, looking for things you may have missed, and recommending changes there that you're recommending things you need to look at, or potentially accepting meetings, etc. It also would draft an email, so you can have it draft a response similar to how we showed you, but instead of having to copy it out and put it in Copilot, you can likely just accept gracefully and do all those things with Copilot. So the ability to accelerate your email communication and manage your inbox seems to be quite a big improvement. PowerPoint, you might have seen in that video, the ability to create, this is examples, create a 5-slide presentation based on a Word document, and it will pull the photos in, and then consolidate it, change the design, just accelerating your ability to produce quick and good-looking PowerPoint presentations. Copilot in Excel, looking at data. This one will probably be one of the more interesting ones, is what can it do? How much data can it analyze? But as you can see, analyze the quarter's business results and summarize 3 key trends. So that will be an interesting thing. I can see Excel. I'm not as savvy with Excel, but it does look like it is very good at analyzing data, looking for errors, that type of thing. This big one, we do a lot of meetings in Teams at the IT team. Summarize meetings, as you can see, recap the meeting so far. It's using transcripts to do that, asking how they're feeling. I think it's apparently Microsoft has taken out things like how much time is this, how much small talk has been done, and who was late and that type of thing. So they're trying to curb that kind of big brother negativity that could be associated with this. But ultimately, the ability to summarize action points, summarize notes for meetings you didn't attend seems extremely powerful. It's a challenge of the IT team, writing notes for all the meetings we attend. And then the business chat, so you can use in Teams, you can use Copilot to interact wholly with your 365 content. So pulling data from documents, hunting out documents, that type of thing. So that's a lot of information, but I'm going to continue. Copilot, what do we know? So it looks like it's very productivity focused. It seems to be a legit game changer. On November 1st, it is launching. It's been in trial mode for a while, to enterprise customers. So that is clients that, organizations that have an enterprise agreement, which generally starts at 300 seats. So it's not launching for everyone. Cost expected to be $30 US per user per month. So it's a notable cost. And that is because I think Microsoft know that once people get a bit of an idea of it, it can save them money. And so it might be worthwhile. There's no not-for-profit pricing at this stage. You must be on either business standard or premium, or E3 or E5, and there's a few other licenses, but those are the central ones. And generally we see ChatGPT and I guess Bing to be more personal use. I won't go into this in huge amount of detail, but there's a lot of different Copilots being used a bit. 365 Copilot, Windows 11 Copilot, and Bing Chat Enterprise are all in the same family. What David was showing before was Bing Chat Enterprise. They're limited compared to what we just showed in the videos before. The big one we're looking for, if you see announcement or it's been released, Microsoft 365 Copilot is the big one. Windows 11 Copilot did launch recently. Doesn't seem to be available in New Zealand, although you can get it working if you're really keen. But ultimately, it's a desktop version of Bing Chat Enterprise, which is what David showed. So it doesn't look at your data. It doesn't do the things that Windows 3 and Microsoft 365 Copilot will do. There's also Sales Copilot, which is an add-on to Dynamics 365, which is very interesting. And there's Security Copilot, which is effectively an add-on to Lighthouse that accelerates your ability to detect threats. So very quickly, I'm sorry, I'll have to go quickly through these last 3 or 4 slides. There is a threat to this, just generally with AI. Security holes are likely to be exploited much faster with these models. And I'm not talking about Copilot, I'm talking about the general AI models that are going to be in the wild. Some of them are open source and they'll be developed and used by bad actors to take advantage. They're already taking advantage by having getting their phishing emails rewritten. So, it would be commonplace to get, if you do some phishing training, they'll say, oh, look for the spelling errors and look for the characters that look weird and look for the get mistakes. Well, those are going to go away. So they're going to look more professional. Imitations of your colleagues and contacts will be difficult to detect. And as I might have said earlier, 0-day vulnerabilities, we see AI generally, not ChatGPT or Copilot, etc., but AI generally taking advantage of those situations more quickly. Something like a SIEM or SOC service like a Huntress is likely to be really critical. Get your conditional access in your 365 as strong as possible, potentially device level compliance. And Defender should be set up as well and as I guess locked down as possible. So some tips, there are imitations for ChatGPT you need to be careful about, particularly the web apps and that type of thing. With ChatGPT, you need to either redact your data or ensure you and your users or colleagues do not put in sensitive data, customer information, private information. It needs to suggest that you keep it out of there. Bing Chat is generally safe for that type of thing. And we'd always suggest creating a policy or consider some sort of policy for your organization for this, or an adaptation of your existing one. Preparing for the future. To maximize your ability to use Copilot, your documents and files need to be on 365. If you've got them in multiple places, it's not going to be able to, if you type in it, it's not going to be able to hunt it out. It's not going to be able to do everything. So if you're not in 365, you may want to consider how you can get more in there. Consider using Teams for internal and external meetings. If you're using Zoom or various things, you're not using Teams, there's a benefit that AI add-on will potentially improve the meeting. OneNote, I struggle to use it. I know it's important, but I struggle to use it. I like the old pad and paper. OneNote likely is a game changer now, because the ability to write notes and have it automatically populate a Word document seems to be very a big productivity boost. Now, one thing is, because of the nature of Copilot and its ability to spread throughout your environment, if you have permissions issues, it could be a really big problem. If you have accidentally left something open, or someone has accidentally left something open, and it has, let's say, a contract or a salary document, one could see that being pulled into a document about a staff profile or a PowerPoint presentation unwittingly. So you need to make sure your permissions in SharePoint are locked down, particularly for sensitive information. So what will the IT team be doing? So we're having regular communication and content on Copilot as it gets towards its release to everyone. We don't know when that'll be. It could be December, could be February, something like that. We formed a dedicated security team. We always had a security team, but it wasn't dedicated. We formed that earlier this year to help deal with what we have seen as an increase in security activity. We're performing security baseline review for all our customers. SharePoint permissions audit. We would recommend this if you're considering Copilot. And generally, we're discussing with all our customers and key contacts how to take advantage of Copilot. Now, Copilot doesn't benefit us financially. Just want to say that it is a product like all the other 365 licenses, but we just see it as a big game changer in the industry. Well, though we do charge licensing, but it's not a big thing for us as far as financially, just to say. What can the IT team do for you? So we can assist with 365 migrations. If you need to get more on SharePoint or Teams, take advantage of that to leverage the Copilot opportunity. Provide some guidance on security as to how to protect your organization as AI's impact increases. We could help perform a pre-Copilot health check, which is across the board. That's policy, process, data, and readiness for the system, and just continue to inform and prepare you for this, what we believe is a revolutionary technology. So a couple of other things, upcoming webinars. This one's down. We have a security webinar coming, which is the 2023 priorities. That'll be in November. We're going to have one on Microsoft Loop in late November as well. Once Copilot is launched, not long after, we will have a webinar. We don't know when that'll be, but we'll have it shortly after. So if you're interested in those, we can talk. Now we are generally out of time for questions. I'm sorry we ran late. A couple of images we generated using Midjourney. That's Brad Pitt and Prince Charles. I don't think they actually did play chess. and Charles and Biden. You can't really generate those images now because they're considered sensitive. I guess they could be used to manipulate a bit of fake news. But anyway, we wanted to say thank you for your attendance. We hope you got something out of this, and we're going to submit and we'll send to the attendees a survey. David's going to paste it in the chat. Hopefully it comes through to you. So we'd love you to fill in the survey, gives us a bit of feedback on what went well and what maybe didn't go so well today, so we can make improvements. It should take you about 20 seconds. So we'd really appreciate if you filled that out. And thank you again for your attendance. If you do have any questions, feel free to fire it to us on email, webinars@the-IT-team or inquiries@the-IT-team. We will answer it. And yeah, hopefully we see you on the next one. Thank you very much for attending.